Hey there, it's Marisa, and recently someone asked me on Facebook, how do you know how much is the right amount of stuff to put in your online programs, your courses, your masterminds, whatever it is that you're selling? And this is kind of like a Three Little Bears question of how do you put not too much, not too little, but just right? Because if you load your programs with too much stuff, a few things happen. One, people get overwhelmed, they get stuck, they get frustrated, and they give up, which is not why you created your program. And that also prevents them from wanting to buy with you again and get a deeper level of transformation. But when you give too little, you can't really help people get this deep transformative result, and you start to develop a reputation of giving the sizzle and not the steak. First of all, you've got to look at your program from two perspectives. One, your perspective of the course creator, and two, the perspective of your student, your client, your customer. So as a course creator, the answer is that you want to give just the amount that somebody needs to achieve what I call the mission of your program, which is the outcome, the goal, the result that you promise through your program. How can you give them just enough to achieve that, no more and no less, because people will thank you for that. However, chances are that result, that promise, is a big result in a big promise. For example, in our Experience Product Masterclass, my promise is to design, market, and deliver an experience product that makes $2,000 or a whole lot more in 10 weeks or less. That is a big promise, and it takes a lot to get there, so there's still a lot in that program. Now you've got to look at things from the other perspective, which is the perspective of your student, your client, your customer, who have busy lives. Maybe they're parents, maybe they're caregivers, maybe they go to night school, maybe they have a day job. There's so many things that are going on in their life. So you've got to look at how does this program fit into their life, because this is not the only thing that they're doing. The truth is that it's impossible to 100% avoid overwhelm, because overwhelm is the feeling of being flooded with things you can do, flooded with possibilities, flooded with ideas, flooded with potential. And overwhelm is a part of growth. So instead of trying to completely avoid overwhelming your students, your clients, and your customers, start to normalize the feeling of overwhelm for them. Help them understand that overwhelm is a natural part of growth. It's a natural part of learning. And the best way forward is to embrace the feelings of overwhelm. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. I must be learning. I must be on the brink of a breakthrough. So I just watched the movie Stand and Deliver about a high school teacher named Jaime Escalante who taught in East Los Angeles in basically the barrio. Now these kids were poor. They have very little education, and he's going to teach them math. So he teaches in a way that nobody has ever taught before because he genuinely cares. He wants them to learn. He wants them to be able to do something with their life. So after the first year, he decides he wants to teach them calculus, AP calculus, advanced placement calculus. And everyone thought he was completely nuts. They thought, you can't have them lose even more hope in themselves and in their future. And he said, nonsense. These kids can do this. That students rise to the level of expectation set on them, and that these students were in a situation where there was almost no expectations on them, when they were expected to amount to pretty much nothing. But he expected more, and he created the conditions for them to achieve more. He had them come in early in the morning, stay late, come in over the summers, over the holidays. He believed in these students. And guess what? The very first year, all 18 students who took the advanced placement calculus test, they passed. That was unheard of. In the next year, about double that number passed. Now, this was not an easy task, and these students were overwhelmed much of the time. Many of them wanted to give up several times, and in that moment when they wanted to give up, he went to them and he really challenged them to think about their future. Sure, you can take this job as a mechanic. Sure, you can make time and a half over the holidays. But do you want to be the mechanic? Do you want to cash out now? Or do you want to become the person who's designing the cars? And do you want to invest in your future? And he got them back on track because he got them to see a bigger vision for who they were. So the truth is that overwhelm is a natural part of learning and growth. And you don't want to dumb down your program so much that you don't allow people the opportunity for true learning and true growth. So I believe in overwhelm. Not overwhelm for the sake of overwhelm, but overwhelm for the sake of growth, because to overwhelm is to flood with possibility, to flood with potential, to flood with hope, to flood with more. And part of this path to being a facilitator, an agent of transformation, is to help people stretch and expand beyond their current set point. And yes, that does involve overwhelm. When you're creating your programs, you want to offer people the minimum amount they need to get a result. However, that result may be big, that result may be extraordinary, and that result may involve overwhelm. Dare to set big goals, dare to set big opportunities, dare to set a bigger picture, a bigger vision for what's possible for them. And dare to be the facilitator that challenges them outside of their comfort zone so they can truly grow and achieve all that they want to be in life, in business, in relationship, whatever domain it is that you work. So as you design your programs, think about the transformation first, think about the result first, and reverse engineer from there. So go out there, live your message, and help other people to live theirs.